Good morning! I am sitting out here in the garden with a cup of coffee. And I thought I would at least start to tackle the chaos that is the main kitchen garden. That is a little bit of a procrastination because my first priority should be getting the potato patch ready. Because cars coming past. I'll wait for it. 2 cars. Yeah, it's time to plant out the potatoes, so I should be doing that at least this weekend, possibly even yesterday. But in the spirit of taking it at a slower pace, not pushing myself and trying to follow joy rather than following a schedule or feeling pressure to achieve perfection. I'm sure that the potatoes can wait for a few more days and that it's okay that I do this task now, because it also needs to get done. Until this part of the garden is finished, I'm very limited in what I can plant out and sow. So yeah, I'll see how this works. I'll show you what it looks like now. We've been here before, and I've shown you. So, for example, this used to be one veg patch, and then there's a path here and a path here, and then there's the next veg bed, and here's another one. You can't barely even see them now because they look so messy. So yeah, I'm a bit worried about what I'll even be able to salvage here, but we'll try, and I'll also show you what's happened in the last few days. Look at all those. It's like a field of blue. And as usual, I'm not entirely sure what the plant is called in English. Hi, Siggy. But in Swedish they're called skilla. Show you that up close. Here they are. So yeah, I have my work cut out for me. And here's also the remains of trimming the hedge. Like a week ago or something. I can show you what it looks like now. So there is the top. It was about a meter taller before I trimmed it, I think. It had just been growing wild, basically, for years, probably. But now it's like we can actually see the horizon now. I'm very, very happy about it. So yeah, let's see. I'll set up the camera and we'll take it from here. I hope you'll be able to see something. I'm not really sure about the angle, I still don't have a tripod. But my plan... By the way, knee pads on the garden work pants. It changed my life. My plan is to use a rake, like one of those, not the ones that you use to rake up leaves, like the blom 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 blom, flexible, soft ones, but I'll show you. One of these, because it's a bit sturdier, so I'll use that to sort of try and pull all the branches apart, and probably try to remove at least the big branches. Small little twigs and stuff I guess can just stay in there, but I'll remove the bigger bits first and see if I'll want to use that for something else. I mean, I can probably put them in the bottom of new veg beds and stuff, like raised beds or cold frames. Yeah, and then I'll see what I'll find when I remove all of these piles of twigs. I'll see if there will actually be soil underneath there, or yeah, I'll get going. Gloves. I usually prefer to garden without gloves because I like feeling the soil. But now I'm gonna like pull apart twigs and stuff and branches. It feels better to have them on. There is one thing though about getting the soil on my hands. I'm a bit conflicted because it's very grounding to feel the soil on my hands. And I like the idea of like getting a bit dirty, if you know what I mean. But I also have there's the raven again. Yeah, I also have like sensory issues with the soil when it gets underneath my nails, and also like the dryness that comes after, even when you wash off the soil from your hands. The skin is very dry, so it's a balancing act between these, the longing for connection with the earth and the grounding feeling of being dirty with soil and compost and manure on one hand, and then on the other hand sensory overwhelm and quite strong discomfort in, like, I guess it's neurodivergency. I guess that's what it is. But yeah, anyway, this time gloves, for now at least. I think this is going to be slightly easier than I thought, actually. The rake is really good. And I'm going to show you what it looks like now. So here, obviously I haven't gotten that far yet, but I wanted to show you what it looks like underneath all of the twigs. So here you can really see that this is horse manure. And it's really moist and nice. Here's some, I think it might be the skillet, the blue flowers. doesn't really matter. Just pull them up. So it actually looks really nice underneath here. I've also seen lots of worms squiggling around. And I think that if you just dig down even deeper, it's... yeah, there's a little worm. It's pretty good soil below here, or fairly good. Over here you can also see, if you notice that it's a lot darker here. So this is the basically decomposing twigs. They're all really wet and yeah, beginning to rot. And there's a lot of microorganisms here, and like spiders and creepy crawlies, and probably lots of mycelium and things like that. So I really don't think that the twigs themselves are the problem. I think they're pretty good. I think they add a lot of life to the soil, and I also think that they help retain moisture inside the veg beds. The problem, as far as I can tell, of what makes this not very ideal is that I have a limited amount of compost. I think if you had access to more compost, and you could really cover these little piles of twigs or branches or logs with a really, really thick layer of compost and other organic materials, really build it up thick and tall, I think that would be absolutely amazing. My problem has been that I have a limited amount of compost, and I'm trying to be very economical about it. And therefore the layer that I could put on these twigs last year was relatively thin. And during one season and then the subsequent winter, most of that compost sort of fell down between the twigs. And I mean, it's still there, so I'll be able to plant things in it, but I can't plant it straight into that, obviously, because it's like the roots wouldn't be in touch with compost, essentially. So yeah, I think this is a good experiment, and I'm learning a lot from it. And I feel like I can understand why this didn't work for me during, in these specific circumstances. But I'm not ruling it out as a good method for building veg beds in general. It's just about knowing how to do it in the best way, and when it's a good idea and when it's not a good idea, I guess. Yeah, I'll just keep going here, and then I'll see how far I get, and hopefully I'll be able to show you a little more later today. So, a couple of hours later, or actually I have no idea how long I've been doing this, but things are happening. And I thought I'd show you what it looks like now, because it's a pretty big difference, I think. It's not finished, but it looks promising. So this is what it looks like now. What I've done is to use the rake and pull out as many of the small branches as possible. As you can see, I've saved many of the larger bits, the actual logs that are, they're very rotten and decomposing. Those are pretty good, and I want to keep them. I might use them just along the edges or something to make borders, but I don't want to throw them away, because they contribute a lot to the mulch and microorganisms and mycelium and all those kinds of things. But yeah, so this is the main bit where the next step is to, well, remove the big logs and then to use the rake and sort of shape the veg beds I want and the paths and everything. And same thing on the other side. Same thing there. It's just I've kept the big bits. This is a pretty good edge already, so I'm leaving that. And I also took the opportunity to just rake up all the debris and little bits and pieces and old cardboard and twigs and straw and things from the paths in between as well. So the whole area looks a bit more tidy now. I hope, at least. So this is what I've done now. It's really hot outside. I'm sweating like a pig. But yeah, this is how it turned out. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 beds. And these are the paths in between. So I've started making some very rudimentary borders around them. I don't really need to have borders. I don't really care. It's just, it will help me to just see the veg beds easier. There's the final one is a little bit thinner or narrower, I think. And that's because the hedge is next to it, so I didn't want to go too far out into the hedge. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. And some of these veg beds have quite a lot of branches and twigs left. I've kept some deliberately because it's, again, this is like completely wet. It feels like grilled chicken. It just breaks apart. It's very, very, very moist. I feel like I could probably squeeze out, yeah, squeeze out some water from there. So that kind of stuff is, of course, going to be very beneficial to have in. Oh, little centipede or something. Yeah, that kind of stuff I want to keep in the veg beds because it will prevent it from drying out really quickly. But on the beds that have a lot of that stuff in, I'll probably put a layer of extra compost on top. Because it'll be easier to sow seeds and plant things out. And then probably cover it with dried leaves from last year or something as well. I'm gonna try this year to be a bit better at mulching properly. That's always a challenge for me to remember, or I mean I usually remember, but to take the time and energy to go around the garden and so rake up leaves or cut the grass or something to have something to use as mulch. But yeah, I'm all in all, so far, I'm pretty pleased about this transformation compared to what it looked like before. Still not finished. The area over there I need to fix. I've removed the twigs and all, but I haven't made new veg beds there yet. All in its time. So today I've continued a little bit, well, now you can't see it. I have placed out some irrigation hoses, like drip irrigation. This is what it looks like in the new veg beds that I made yesterday. In these ones, I've lifted the hoses out because I wanted to mulch in some cow manure. So I'm just going to put the hose back. But now I'm starting on a new project, and I thought I'd take you along, because this is going to be a quite fun one, I think. It's going to be a big difference. And it's one of those... It's mostly just to increase beauty, but also for practical reasons. So I'll show you what this is about. Here is the hot tub. And in front of the hot tub, as you can see, there's a big space that is essentially not utilized at all. It's just a big empty open space. And the reason we've left it open is obviously so that we can access the hot tub. So here's the central path kind of thing. So we have some veg beds over there, and then we have a patch over there as well. But all of this, which is it's maybe 3 by 3 meters or something like that, which is just empty. So my plan now is to move the stairs to the hot tub, move them around to the back side, which is also unutilized space. It's just a path to get to the compost bin and some other stuff, but I'm not growing anything there. So I'll move the stairs, and then I will... There's some scrap cardboard, but last year I made 2 tiny little flower borders here on the sides. So I had the dahlias on either side of the stairs to the tub. But now my plan is to use the same tiles or stones or whatever you call them, and just make it like this, a big one all the way around. And then my plan for that space is to plant the dahlias and maybe some summer flowers, but also vegetables. So in the back, just against the tub, essentially, might do a trellis, might not, but in either case, at the back of this new little veg patch, I'm gonna plant out corn, if I have enough corn. I don't really know how that's germinating yet. So far I only have one tiny little seedling coming up. But I might put corn there if I have enough. Otherwise I'll just use tall sunflowers, or both, and do basically kind of a Three Sisters inspired veg bed here, but with dahlias and flowers and maybe some herbs and other things as well. But I will use the corn and or tall sunflowers and plant them together with pole beans or other kind of climbing legumes, and on the ground I'll probably plant out some winter squash as well. So that is my plan for now. And then when you're in the hot tub, later in the season at least, it will be almost like a little wall So you'll sit behind these tall sunflowers or corn plants or whatever it will be. And I think it will be really nice. I think this was fate because of the number of tiles that I had available. It's pretty perfect. I have 2 extra that I won't need for the border itself, and I'm wondering if maybe I can put them like this, as I've done now. It won't be a path exactly, but it will enable me to sort of go into this little patch for harvesting and stuff without having to step on the ground. So that's an option, at least, to consider. But yeah, this is what it looks like so far. So the big job here will be to dig a little trench so that I can get the tiles down into the ground a bit. I'm super happy about being able to use that space, because it is a pretty big veg patch, at least in my kitchen garden, which is not a very big one. It's a lot of extra space that I have now made available for growing food and beautiful flowers and things. So yeah, I'll show you when I'm doing the next step on this, so that you can see the whole process.